Thank you very much. And lovely to see everybody, and especially to see our South African colleagues, because we are so totally locked down here. We're missing our friends up the road, Amelia and Sibongiseni and Conrad. Lovely to have you guys with us. So I'll just whiz you through some slides, and it has been originally called the Poverty Stoplight. Internationally, it's known as Poverty Stoplight. It's a social impact measuring tool. But we in South Africa, because we love ABCD so much and we love to focus on people's strengths and so on, we've decided to call it the Greenlight. And just to give you an idea of where it's operating in the world, there are 27 countries altogether that are using this tool. It originally was designed in Paraguay. And it is a methodology as well as a metric. The aim is to primarily help families to improve their quality of life. So it collects both the quantitative data when you do the survey with the person on a digital device, but you also ask questions of the family in the interview process, which is the qualitative information. And it's a very good tool to use when you are baselining and also for any ongoing assessment of trying to work out program effectiveness. So particularly for programs like poverty eradication, enterprise development, job creation, and any community upliftment and empowerment programs. It obviously wouldn't work for something like a soup kitchen because you're not doing anything in between each bowl of soup to help somebody. But when you're doing any kind of community upliftment, then it's a fantastic tool for that. And it is a self-evaluation, and it's also very visual. So it's done on a tablet, on an Android device, and the family sits together themselves and looks at how they feel they would like to measure themselves on a whole range of different indicators. So it's almost like holding a mirror in front of the family and saying to them, what do you see? How do you see yourselves across a whole range of different indicators? And so that's like a first step in helping them to develop a personalized strategy that then will lift them permanently out of that situation of poverty. So it looks at 6 different dimensions of poverty in the survey. Not only income and employment, sorry, it keeps jumping ahead of me. Not only income and employment, but also health and the environment, housing and infrastructure, looking at education and culture issues, organization and participation, which is the way how people engage in their community, and then on a personal level, the self-awareness and motivation. There are a total of 50 indicators in the tool, and for each indicator, the family has 3 possible answers, one of which would be, I'm stuck. I'm really struggling in this, I don't have enough money, or whatever it is. They would then choose the red indicator, which is feeling like I'm very poor in that indicator. If they feel like they're trying to do something, but it is still a struggle, they would then choose the yellow. And then the green would be, I'm fine. So for instance, an indicator that is, does everyone in the family have personal identification, either a passport or an ID document or a birth certificate? If the whole family has all of those, they would then choose green as their indicator. At the end of the survey, they have all 50 questions answered, and it pops up as a scorecard. And then they will transfer that information onto a paper version, which is their family's stoplight. And so they then have their own copy, which they can keep at home, and they can use it to refer where they want to try and fix certain indicators. So there on the right-hand side, you can see an example of a family stoplight, and they will then look at the different reds and yellows and decide what is it that we can do to help move ourselves as a family from this red indicator to yellow, or from yellow to green, so that next time we do our survey, we'll be much more green. And the green allows you to see where you're strong. So that's where you can highlight your assets, the things that you're good at, the things that you can then draw on to help you to work on those reds and yellows. And it's very good. The whole system is on the cloud. So once you're finished with the survey, you send the information up to the cloud, and you can then draw down a report that looks like this, where you can see the person's movement from 2014. This lady was first interviewed, then 2015, a year later, and then, sorry, 2016. And you can see how she has progressed. She's up to 43 greens by her 3rd year. And what they say with the Greenlight tool is that if you can get yourself to between 45 and 46 greens, you've basically moved yourself out of poverty according to these indicators. So it's a great motivator for an individual to receive this report on an annual basis and to see how she's moved herself and her family from red or yellow into a green position. And by this third year, this lady has only 7 yellows left that she needs to tackle to help her to feel that she's moved out of poverty. The best part of this whole tool is that it is GPS enabled. So when you go to a person's house and do the survey, you would then make sure that you switch on your little GPS location pin so that the information is then saved to that person's physical address. So you then can draw down any number of Google Maps which give you the results according to a geographic area. So you can see on the left-hand side, the indicator here highlighted is access to water. So in this community, those dots show you that each of those little dots is a household that was surveyed, and the green results, mostly green, are that people feel like they are okay when it comes to accessing safe drinking water. There's 1 or 2 little red households that are popping out, but basically that indicator is green. However, the bottom map shows that according to the indicator on the left that's highlighted family savings, this community is not saving very well. There's lots and lots of red households, only a couple of green ones sticking out. So as a program, if you're wanting to do designing programs, you can see by doing this survey, you can find out where the key areas are, how people feel about things. And also, if you're looking for funding, if you approach a funder, perhaps you have a funder who wants to fund boreholes. You can show them, according to this map, the community feels like they have access to water. But you can ask your funder, would you perhaps be willing to allow us to use this funding for financial literacy and savings clubs? Because the area of family savings is an issue for that community. So they are identifying their own issues, and you can then help them to determine what kind of solutions they can best use. And we found that a lot of the time when you finish the survey, people respond by saying, I'm not as poor as I thought I was. So that again highlights the idea that people realize where their strengths are, and they realize as well that I'm responsible for a lot of what's happening in my life. I can't sit back and blame government or blame my husband or blame the community leader. It's actually, I'm responsible for a lot of things, and I can change things. I can see how easy it is for me to move myself from a red to a yellow or from a yellow to a green. And I'll now hand over to Anne, who's going to take us through the next lot.
Thank you, Janine. Yeah. So we had an Indaba in 2019 with some of the results that came up from master students and PhD students that in the Cape Town area to look at this tool to see what is the impact, what is the real impact. So the data that I'm going to give to you comes from that Indaba. And we looked at the top 5 things that seems the hardest to change. Those things were family savings. It was like 41% access to credit facilities because people are really stuck. In actual fact, people can't get credit, so they can't buy houses, they can't buy cars and things like that because they are locked down, perhaps in a situation where they are blacklisted. Then there's income and earnings above the poverty line, so a lot of people don't see solo entrepreneurship or hustling as an actual income. Or if they get an income from that, what's happening is that it's not enough to take them above the poverty line. Stable employment and income sources is one of the other issues that came up strongly. And then entertainment and recreation. So a lot of people that we survey, entertainment and recreation is not something that they see is available in the local communities around us. Janine, you can click the next one. All right, so the yellow, the things that they say that are moving over a period of the time that they are in the survey process. Normally it's 12 months or 24 months or 36 months. But they're still struggling with those types of things. Means of transport. Some of the people, especially in the rural areas or in the nodal areas, struggle with transport, doesn't have access to taxis that often. Nutrition is a big gap. There's a lot of people that are saying they eat less than 2 meals a day. Access to information and means to communicate. So in South Africa, contextually, we've got a problem with high rates in cell phone rates, the cost of cell phone, and inaccessibility to Wi-Fi, again, in the nodal and in the rural areas mostly. Then knowledge and skills to generate an income. Many years back, skills development was taken to the places where people stay in rural areas, which is not the case anymore. Currently, it's more a case of people, and now I'm talking about skills to generate an income, job creation, and those types of things. Those skills are available in universities or colleges or basic centers that are centralized. So people from far can't access those skills and knowledge. And then the capacity to plan and budget. So again, coming back to that issue that Janine highlighted on financial skills or financial literacy, or what we call stokvel, where a lot of people pull together to save money together. So here is an example of one of the indicators, which is the income and employment, what the baseline looked like on this one in 2017 and what it looked like in 2018. From where I look at the screen from my left-hand side, it starts with the income, and we're going to look at the red because I want to show you how that shifted. In 2017, it was 67%. When the next measurement was taken in 2018, it moved down to 38%. The following one is employment. It was 42% in 2017, and it went down to 28% in 2018. And it was because a lot of the people that are assisting. So I think one of the things that didn't come out in the presentation is the type of people that are using the tools. Mostly people that are using the tools at the moment in South Africa are NGOs that are grassroots, that are busy with some type of grassroots levels of programs or projects, so that they can measure the impact of their programs within the area of their work. So basically with the employment year would have been perhaps some NGOs or MPOs that has measured a baseline and then implemented some kind of training, knowledge, skills sharing, upskilling, or empowerment process with the people. So that employment would then come, that it would rise, and these individual percentages will come down. That's to 42% in 2017, and in 2018 it was 28. Sorry, I think I've repeated that. Next one is access to credit, and then the following one was family savings. Family savings was in 2017, the rate one was 64%, and in 2018 it came down to 45%. Because it's a self-empowerment process, people take ownership of their own situation, and they need to come up with an action plan as to how they themselves want to move themselves out of poverty. I think that is how it links in also with the ABCD. So what was working very well with the partners that we've worked in this field was, one, the economic development, so especially the building of the financial skills. The next one was personal development, so where they were building of personal skills, life skills, and knowledge. A lot of the indicators shift. A lot of the indicators are interlinked. So if you shift one indicator, so let's say, for example, low employment or unemployment, and people start suddenly generating some employment, some of the other indicators will move. And then the last one, which was a huge surprise for us all, was the indicator about trauma healing that actually takes place and trust that's being built through this process. Yeah, I think you can go to the next one, Janine. So the one good thing about this tool that we are using is the fact that the United States has, the United Nations, sorry guys, United Nations has adopted this tool in 2017 as one of the 11 projects that are advancing the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. And yeah, that was actually fantastic news for us as well. So that is the end of our presentation. We would like to open up for questions.